Hello, everyone. Thank you. My name is Alin Bogdan. I'm Chief Product Officer at Innovatio. We are an energy company. And a quick plug-in, we got all our licenses and soon will be completely active to handle your electricity and give you access to the balancing market. So part of my history is that now I'm Chief Product Officer at Innovatio, but I've also done mobile development for my recent history. And before that, I have a trauma of 10 years of being a consultant. On that note, is anyone here also a product owner or does anything on the spec client to spec part? The future is yours. You know it. The past was yours as well. We will come back to that. So now in our recent times, productivity has become the new religion. How many of you feel that as well? Like there's not a moment that you want to do something, always something. It's like the purpose of life. We are not going to debate if that's a good thing or not. We'll leave that for later, for a beer. But for me, it comes to mind a few years back, 1 year after ChatGPT appeared. I remember sitting on a bench and I had this problem in an app to do some animation. Like when you scroll up, header would become smaller or bigger, something like that. And I'm like, oh, let me use ChatGPT. And I asked it how to do that and to write the code, and it wrote it. And I couldn't wait to get to the computer to see if it works. It didn't work. It had a little problem, but as soon as I told it the problem, it figured it out. Yeah, it's an exception. We can hack it. It was very impressive. And ever since then, I always wanted, man, I wish I would do it all on the mobile phone. Wouldn't it be wonderful? What you see now, this presentation is on my mobile phone. It's an app, and I wrote it today while testing a different app out doing GPS tracking and stuff like that. So everything was, I didn't see the code. I checked the code a minute ago because I wanted to change something. I didn't care anymore. I didn't want to. As I said before, the future is back on the product owner side, the code. We have become clients. Any of us who are seniors enough have actually become clients, and there are some interesting lessons that we need to learn. And this little experiment helped me. So I will start with a demo. This is just a prompt I prepared to copy like a good programmer. I'm going to go to Jira. I have Jira installed here on my phone, and I just paste that little prompt. The prompt says add a banner visible on top of all screens saying it works. So that will run in a minute or two. And in the meantime, let me go back to the presentation. I'm going to not waste too much time and say what happens. In the background, inspired by Ralph loops, I created a small Ralph loop, but the first step is getting the data from Jira. I found out there's an Atlassian CLI. Thank you, ChatGPT. And you can get, by interrogating the to-dos with the summary, the description, and other aspects of a Jira ticket. And I saved that to a JSON file. And then I wanted to use the laptop. And then if there's something in the JSON file, my SH script runs a Ralph loop once to do the thing. And then this, as I said before, I'm a mobile development developer, and I usually use React Native. And more recently, I've started using Expo. And it's pretty cool, Expo. One of the cool things Expo does is that it has this, when we're not going to go into details, we talk about the details afterwards, but you can test it, live test it on your phone, and you can even test it via tunnel, even if you're not in the same network. So that's why today I could write this app while I was walking outside and I wasn't in the network that the loop was actually running. Let's see if by some miracle the Jira ticket finished. So in theory, yeah, look at that. It moved from to do. It's not in progress, not in blocked. It should be here. It's here. One thing about React, you need to do that and refresh it. It always looks cool. Look at that. You see that little banner there? So I pretty much explained what happened there. We will go into the questions at the end. I'm very tempted to ask you if you had any questions there. I just want to make some points here. It did just one little idea, one little implementation. It looped back to the phone to see it, and then I can do it again. The current implementation has a lot of limitations. It only does one to do, one, which I think is an advantage because we're going to be eager to do a lot of things. The limitation that it imposes might be a helpful thing. Then I've also added the fact that it could change between CLIs. I used to use Claude, but you run out of tokens in like 7 prompts if you use the cheap one. And I also included Cursor and Gemini. And by having a little label in the Jira ticket, it can pick which one works, which one it will use. Because something like this, it just works. Cursor agent can do it. And this way you don't really waste all of your tokens on small things. But that currently doesn't work in this implementation. It used to work on Git, like it would commit to Git after each ticket. It doesn't now, just a bug. One big limitation, which I cannot get around it, is that if you ask it something like, make it fancy, I did this once for an app, and it started installing libraries to make it transparent and stuff like that. Because of the installation of libraries, the expo needed to be rebuilt, and you need to go back to the computer and trigger it. So that's one limitation that we will not really get rid of it anytime soon. While doing this, I started doing it for fun, and I did it just one day before Claude Code became a thing, which I think is a great thing because it helped me. If I would have seen Claudebot, then I might not have done it. And I started doing it to migrate an app from an old version to a newer version. To use React Native, it was using Ionic. I didn't know a lot about the app. I just knew something generic. I implemented this app while I was going hiking. And while I was implementing, I realized I don't know a lot of things about the app and I need some feedback. I created an admin panel. And in the admin panel, I added things that I needed to know so that I could prompt better. Like, what are the existing navigation? What APIs are we using in the old app? Then I started going into stuff like, okay, I implemented some APIs, but then, man, I need to run some tests. So it would just run tests and I would see the results. Then if something broke, I needed to see why it broke. So I added logs or errors, stuff like that. Then I even went even further because I was literally just on my phone and I could ask ChatGPT, create me a prompt, add a little banner on the top. But if I wanted something a little bit more complicated and I needed some reference of the code, it would be great if I was back on the computer. So I made something like answers page where I would ask it stuff and would give me some answers and then maybe create me a ticket where I just had like copy summary and I just go back to the Jira and paste it. But I'm mentioning this because I feel like this is the most important part. These observations that I made, second, I want to go back to the presentation. These observations that I made during trying to migrate an app, I think are the most important. These loops back and forward, finding out what you actually need, things that were addressed today in the previous speeches, these are the core of it. And I do believe as we move more and more to results driven, we will care less. We will become clients. We will care less about the code. Like all of our clients don't care about what architectural decision we made. They just care about the result. And me as a client, I found myself in the same situation. And this pattern helped me a lot think differently. As I mentioned before, I'm happy I did it just one day before OpenClaw because OpenClaw is an alternative, a very expensive alternative because it uses tokens for everything. Like the Jira MCP would have been expensive. It would have been just overkill. For me, it's very streamlined, simple, this implementation. You could also use Claude Code Remote Control. That's another alternative. I've heard bad things about it because it doesn't work. But again, it feels like it's a little bit more overhead. And for me, what it was important, what I learned, one of the main thing is the loop. You have to build it and you have to see the result and then you can build upon it. Like last year, I had an idea for an app while I was at a festival, and I was thinking of ideas for the app. And in the evening, I would be going home and implementing them, or in the morning. Now I can just go for the app. I have this feature. I want to add this feature, and I'll see if it works out. There are some enhancements that we can do to stuff like this. I'm thinking that you can really use it to streamline your development flow as a junior developer. You can add Notion or Obsidian with some data for the APIs. It could go first not to actually implement it, to review the ticket. If the ticket is up to standard, take it up to standard, add more documentation to it, stuff like this. It could implement more tasks to have it concurrently, but I would say that wouldn't be that great, because we will fall into that behavior of, I'll write everything and leave it overnight. And then overnight, you don't even know where it didn't work. It's big and it's just in front of me. The dream is, though, as I'm using Expo, to integrate it in Expo Go. Somebody mentioned at one point that I could integrate the ticketing as well, to write the ticket in the app. But there's a problem there, because as I mentioned before, I made an error and it failed. It couldn't build anymore. So you don't have the ticketing anymore. But Expo is a wrapper around the app. So Expo Go, if we could just integrate the ticketing in Expo Go, that would always be available, and it would just provide a very easy way of developing apps. If you can still configure it with your own CLI, and would just have the ticketing in Expo Go. It would just start, you will make a choice, and then it can be available for anyone to make an app, like Rick and Morty. So it's available as an NPM at White Box Ideas / remote control. I had the name before I saw Claude Code, I swear. And you can give it a try. You just have to make a free Jira account. But what I feel like this concept presents is more about a challenge to think about how apps and how our interactions with apps, websites will be in the future. It won't be so static. Someone builds it and you just use it as is. I believe that in the future, it will be custom. Each individual will choose what features, what they want in the app. And they'll have little engines like this where they pay something and it will be implemented on the fly. Thank you.